Within 72 hours, something pretty crazy will happen to crypto. As a matter of fact, in the 24 hours afterwards, we're going to be seeing yet another major event, which will most likely influence all the crypto prices. And I want you guys to understand that this is the start of something pretty huge. And I honestly think that many will underestimate just how severe the consequences of this will be. But if you've not done it yet, make sure you go ahead and press that like button. And let us dive right in. First of all, this right here. BlackRock expects its Bitcoin spot ETF to be approved on Wednesday, as reported by Fox Business. If you do not know, this is not a joke. It's not satire. It's not a fake piece of news. Matter of fact, the news with regards to this BlackRock Bitcoin ETF are rather interesting. Take a look at this article, for example. BlackRock layoffs are coming as the firm matures, ESG pullback, and Bitcoin ETF approval. Coming layoffs at BlackRock could put as many as 600 employees out of work, 3% of their workforce. And as you can see right here, on Wednesday, BlackRock is expecting approval from the SEC for its new Bitcoin spot ETF, the first time a crypto investment product tracking the daily price of the world's most popular digital coin will be approved by the securities regulators to trade on a public stock market. Other asset managers are also expecting approval for their ETFs. And the way I'm thinking this is so verified, so legit, is because a BlackRock spokesman would not comment on the layoffs, but the fact that they left it into this article leads us to believe, since they do reach out to BlackRock all the time, they might have just asked them what the next coming things were, and they said, we expect a decision on that Wednesday, just like other things they're expecting, you know? To not basically comment on some of the secrets or things that can negatively impact your stock price or something like that, but about which only is based on the SEC and not necessarily themselves. They're just letting it go. And here, for example, they're talking about BlackRock and Larry Fink talking to Fox. For example, company founder and CEO Larry Fink told Fox Business he won't use the yada yada yada. I don't care, but it's just the fact that they're speaking with one another. They have a nice little line, and so I definitely trust this news. At the same time, Bitcoin is still in greed, but has actually not picked up as much as some people had anticipated. But ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, there's a couple more things. One, I want you to understand this. Here's the Grayscale CEO, for example, saying that spot Bitcoin ETF approvals would unlock about $30 trillion worth of advised wealth for Bitcoin. And I think many don't understand this number or where it's coming from. But let me show you guys two more things. One is pretty cool for XRP, something coming up. I could make another separate video about just how excited I am about everything happening for XRP now. But I think it's just juicy to say, hey, somebody said, my Merrill Lynch account, look at that. And basically 21 shares XRP ETP, which is pretty cool. But these two things. One, the SEC posted a warning just now about digital assets. That's making me pretty bullish, because if they're saying, hey, don't FOMO, that kind of leads me to believe they're expecting a bullish decision. And second of all, let me just quickly find it. Here we go. Is that on the short term, ETFs will probably not be that crazy. But over time, this will lead to tons and tons and tons of money coming in from all these parties. And if you're wondering just exactly why, it does make a lot of sense. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you've got yourself a net worth of $100 million. Let's pick a number. And you want to invest yourself $10 million into crypto. But you've only ever bought trackers, stocks, and index funds the traditional way. Now, all of a sudden, you're going to have to trust a company like Coinbase to hold your crypto for you. I understand that a lot of major asset managers, a lot of high net worth individuals don't like to do that. They'd prefer to go with guys like BlackRock or something along the lines, because there you know your money is safe. So the moment that this opens up, a lot of people will now be thinking about the opportunity. And as I stated just now, it's not going to go day one too crazy, which is why to some extent we do expect a massive pump on the announcement with a very good correction, perhaps the day itself or perhaps a few days later, kind of like with the Ripple lawsuit settlement, where you see a massive rally, all this excitement, but like the SEC kind of rightfully so warned of, don't FOMO perhaps, don't go too crazy. But again, it's still up to be determined, because that's where I'm pointing this video towards. A day afterwards, we've got ourselves the US inflation numbers. And very often people go berserk in terms of trading over those numbers. And thus, I'm expecting some additional volatility in the crypto space around that, basically. Just to give you guys some idea, the inflation rate is expected to go from 3.1 to 3.3%. And the core inflation is expected to go from 4 to 3.9%. So interestingly enough, inflation rate up and the core inflation rate down ever so slightly. As always, if we deviate from these numbers, expect a heavier move. But obviously, since the inflation is going up, it's always interesting to note about how that would influence crypto. But let's go back to this video that we just showcased. Grayscale CEO says Bitcoin spot ETF approval would unlock about $30 trillion worth of advised wealth for Bitcoin. Let's take a look at this video.
Saw from, I mean, it was as low as 17,000 this year.
Sure. Well, you know, Joe, I'm not one to make price predictions, but I do think there is a lot of optimism again in the market. I think a lot of investors are adding Bitcoin to their portfolios. And when we look ahead to the hopeful approval for spot Bitcoin ETFs, it really is going to unlock the opportunity to a part of the investment community that, for better or worse, but I would say for worse, has unfortunately been locked out of the opportunity to participate in having Bitcoin exposure in their portfolios. So we're really talking about the advised market here in the US, which is today about $30 trillion worth of advised wealth that we hope the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs, the uplisting of GBTC, will allow for that opportunity and for those investors to partake in it as well.
The point here being, from all those funds, indeed, a lot of money is just being held on the sidelines right now. But I am so excited that it's going to open up, hopefully within 72 hours. And from there, basically, the floodgates open and things can start flowing. Now, I will say, there is a chance it actually gets denied. We still must always be reasonable and say there is a chance that it actually gets denied. But I think the chances are pretty small. Some estimates put it at about 5%. I find it really hard to judge the percentage in that, but generally speaking, it's just been concluded that the SEC has just been backed into a corner, and there's really not that much more that they can do to try and deny this. Hey, I just saw something else. A quick note on people worried about a Gensler rug pull and the SEC voting in relation to Bitcoin ETFs. Here is 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗡𝗧 from the Bloomberg ETF analyst team regarding but the SEC hasn't voted and how that's some kind of potential rug pull. Few things. The SEC has never voted on Bitcoin ETFs, spot denials, or the futures approvals. They were denied or approved via delegated authority. See below from Commissioner Pierce's speech, which would make sense here too, since this has been a 10th floor driven initiative since the Grayscale win. Second, if they did vote, they'd have to publicly schedule a meeting. Next one is on the 11th, but that would be too late for an 11th of January launch, so probably not relevant. And if there were a vote, hard to imagine any possibility Gary Gensler would vote no, because A, there's no basis to deny, and B, he is literally the one who directed the staff to put in thousands of man-hours to work with 11 issuers on 5 to 10 rounds of comments, because again, they had so many meetings, went back and forward, and changed the details of the ETF so many times. And most recently telling them they want these lined up for a January 11th launch, which I don't know. I don't have the details for that, but apparently that's what's been stated, 11th of January launch. All that said, we still won't go 100% odds until the SEC makes it official, just like ESPN won't go 100% winning chance until game is literally over, regardless of the score, which I understand. Sorry this tweet is so long, by the way, and HT to my lawyer friends. All right. I now noticed I really despise it when people use abbreviations. I probably do it myself, but I don't like reading it. Point being, you can think of all your excuses, you can think of all your parts, but all the odds are still in favor of a Bitcoin spot ETF approval in the very near future here. And that's honestly all I wanted to quickly make clear. Now, before I go, I'll say two things. One is this video right here from yesterday. This is one of the easiest ways to make a couple tens of thousands of dollars in crypto by far. It's completely free to watch. It's very easy to do. And I don't really say that too often, but do it now and don't think about it too much. Just do it and forget about it. Not financial advice, but it is real friendly advice of don't be too lazy, do it now. And I don't like to say that, really I don't. But this is one of the such easy ways that people will be I already saw some people thanking me for driving them to stake some Solana, some Atom like a couple months ago. But it literally costs you nothing. You only have to stake, so lock up at least like 20 bucks or so, and you might get yourself a couple $100 for just a few seconds of effort. But I'm actually releasing another one of these guides later today, which is more in-depth, more difficult, but I really want you guys to know as much as possible about this whole ecosystem, or I should say these ecosystems. And so I'll keep making more guides, even if it takes a lot of freaking effort to do so. And all I ask in return is for you guys to press that like button, and I highly recommend you to have the notification bell on. Because the later you watch those videos about the airdrops, the less your chances are to be eligible, to make good money, all that. So you want to be there.